I'll be showing you how to design a website layout in this course. So if you take a look at this image here, you're going to see the layout of a web page. So at the top here you have the header, and at the right hand side you have the aside, and this, and around here you have the article or the section. So this is the main section, and then this is the footer. You can also wrap the section, the aside and the article within a section. So it doesn't matter how you decide to set it up. Then this is the footer area that contains maybe the copyright and every other details that you may want to show. If you come down to my browser here, I have a similar something that I designed this morning. And at the top here you have the header, down here you have the footer, and down here at the middle you have the section, and the section contains the aside, or what you can call sidebar, which contains the navigation areas, and then this is the article area. So this is what I'll be showing you in this particular video: how to style and position your work according to the HTML5 template layout designs. So let's get on with that. I'm going to close this video, this image. So this is where I had done this particular work, and this is my CSS. So we are going to start as fresh to write this CSS. So I have a folder called testing, and I've brought it into my Visual Studio Code. I have a subfolder within it, which is the layout, and within the layout I have my styles.css, and I have my images. So now I am going to open the section, the testing folder, and I'm going to open a new file, and I'm going to call it layout.html. So let's have our default HTML5, and let's give it a title: web layouts. And then, as you can see here, we have the header first before we have the section. So we are going to have three parts of this website. The first part is the header section, and then the this particular section, which is the section, and then we have the footer section. So this is what we're going to have here. So the first one is the header, then the second one is the section, and then the last one is the footer. So within the we're going to try to open this on our browser. Okay, so you can see it's opened now and it's still empty. But if you come down here, you see that it is web layout, which is the title we have given to it. All right, so let's begin. So the header is going to have, if you look at this, the header is going to have H2 tag containing header. So let's say H2, and then let's say the header, Okay, we have the header now. Then under the section, it has two parts, which is the aside and the article. So that is what we're going to do now. So we are going to have the nav, which is the aside, and the nav will contain some menu items, so which we are going to list as an unordered list, and we're going to list the items. So let me call this one home. Let's call this one about. Let's call this one blog. Oh, sorry. Blog. And finally, let's have one more list. And let's call it contact. All right, so we have it now. As you can see here, these are what we have there. Then the next one is this side of this. So we are going to be having this side as article. So article. So within the article, we have two paragraphs. So the first paragraph, so I'm going to generate some random text. Lorem 30 to generate some random text. And then I'm going to have another paragraph again, P, and let's generate lorem maybe 15. And we have the second paragraph. Then we are done with this part. We go to the footer section. So we have paragraph, and we can say this is the footer. All right, so this is what we have now. We have the default layout. So what we are going to do now is we are going to be using CSS to style this thing up to have it look this way. So let's do that. So go to our CSS, go to your file explorer and go to the folder where you want to store your CSS. So the reason why I don't like storing my CSS around this area is that sometimes it makes it very difficult to read. So you have to set it up in a way that you can easily get to what you want to do. So you can see I have a folder called layouts in case I have some assets that I want to use to lay this website up. And if I want to do anything else, I'm going to create a folder to be able to differentiate between my articles or um, my web templates. So I can go to layout and I can create a CSS. I'll call it apps.css. Remember that all CSS files ends with .css. So I'm going to come down to my HTML and link it up. So just above the title area, I'm going to just type link and hit enter. And then I'm going to say layout because that is the file part where I stored my CSS. So layout slash, and then the name of my CSS is apps.css. Okay, so I've done that now. I can come down to my CSS. And the first thing I want to do is to set the border box so that I won't have all these default stuffs there. So I'm going to set it throughout the website. So I'm going to set it like this, and I'm going to say box sizing. Then I'm going to set it to border box. It doesn't have effect. It doesn't have, actually show anything around the website, but it has some functions which I will show you later. Then the first thing I will have to do is to style my header. So I will say header, because that is my target for now. So then I'll say, let me set the header background. So I'm going to set the background color to a little bit gray. All right. Then I'm going to set the padding to make it centered, to make it bold and centered. So padding to, let's set the padding to 20 pixels. All right. And then let's set the text to be centered. So we can use text align center, and this align center. Then let's make the font a little bit bolder, because if you look at this one, you see it's bolder, it's bold. So let's make it a little bit bold. So we can say font size, and we can set it to 30 pixels. So it's bold now. So one more thing, we need to set the body, and we have to set the font family, because if you look at the this area now, this one, you see that the font family is a little bit different. I think the font family is Helvetico or something like that. I can't actually identify what font family it is. So, but let's set the font family to look like what we have here. I think um, I can't actually recognize that font. I think it's this one. Okay, so you can see we have the fonts have changed. So back to that. So what next do we need to do now? What next we need to do now is to make sure that we set this one side by side to each other, and then make this one a little bit smaller than this, because this is going to contain our article while this is going to contain our navigation. So we have to set the two of them to be side by side to each other, but this one is going to have a smaller width while this one will have a larger width. So let's go to that place. So we're going to go to the navigation now, and then we are going to set the navigation to float left, so that it will be left, sorry, float left. We need to get to, so you can see that it is now arranged side by side with this place. And if you try to highlight it, you see it's different something. Let's give it a background to, differentiate it a little bit. So we can say background color, and let's from here, let's set the background color to this, and let's pad it a little bit so that it will be clear. Maybe padding it to 20 pixels will be okay. All right, then let's set the width so that the width to 30%. Then I think 30% is going to differentiate between this side and this side. So this means that this side is going to have 30%. So if I'm setting the width of this one, I'm going to set the width to be 70%, because if I don't do that, you will notice that if the screen has to shrink more, this may push down this. And again, if you look at this one we are looking at, we are designing with, you can see that it is extended. There is nothing like, it's not in a way that you will see that this is not well arranged. So let's set the height to 300 pixels. So we can see now that this is This is now vertically aligned. Okay. Then the next thing we need to do is to set this side, to work on this side, which is the article. And okay, so if before we work on the article, if you look at this, there is no dotted line, there are no dots, and they are a little bit separated from each other. So let's do that on this also. So what we are going to be working on is that if you go to our HTML now, around the navigation, after the navigation, you see the unordered list, and that is actually what is giving this thing the dotted bullets. So we are going to be working on the unordered list, and it is found as a child of the navigation. So we are going to say nav, then space ul. Then we're going to set the list style, list style to none. So once we are setting it to none, it's going to be disappearing. Okay, then we are going to pad it a little bit, padding maybe 8 pixels or something like that. So you can see it moved a little bit to the right, and you can also set a margin, or rather, let's not work on margin here. We can come down here and say nav, then ul, then uli, because if you come down here, you will see that after nav, the child to nav is ul, while the lui is a child to ul. So this, the way they are arranged is the way we are styling them up. So that if you have another list within the element, within your page, the styles you have here will not affect the entire list you have there. I hope you understand that. Okay, so let's set a margin to 5 pixels. Okay, so you can see it's a little bit separated from each other right now. All right, so this is the footer. You can see that the footer has joined this particular part. So we are going to be working on this article section right now. So let's come down to our apps.css, and then let's work on the articles. The article, and now let's set it to float left as well. So if you do that, you will notice that it's going to be pushed down here, while the footer is going to be pushed up here. And that is because we have not set the width. That is because we have not set the width. So what we're going to do is to set the width and say that we want the width to be 70%. And you can now see that it is pushed right here. Then the next thing is to pad it so that this text will be at the center. So pad it, padding, let's give it a padding of 20 pixels. And you will see that the text is now located at the center, giving some space around here. The next thing is to make sure that it has equal height with this place, because if you look at this one, they have equal heights. So let's make sure that it has equal heights. So what we're going to do is heights, and if you look at this, we have 300 pixel height, so we are going to set it to 300 pixels. So you can now see that the footer has been pushed down to where it belongs. All right, let's give it a little background color. Let's set it to Beaumont, or let's make it a little bit dark. Okay, so we have this background now on this. So let's work on the footer, which is the last part we are working on. So the footer, and then let's give it a background color. Let's set a background color of let's make it a little bit okay. So let's pad it to 15. Let's give it a padding of 15 pixels. And then the next thing is to text align it to center. All right, but what next is, if you look at this, you see that the footer is clear from here. There are no attachment between the footer and this article area. So what we are going to be doing there is to, we have to clear the float we have here to make it to have a clearer look. So we have to clear the float. So to clear the float, I have a code here. I will copy it. So you have to set up the section area, and you have to put this code to the section area. So open a section and put this code here. So once you do that, you can see that it now have clear definition. And this is because you want, after the section, you want to clear it and make it display as a table, and as well as make the both of them to be different. So we want this place not to have anything to do with this and this area, as well as this area not to have anything to do with this area. And that is what this little code here does. You can save this code anywhere you want to save it, or copy it down so that anytime you need it, you can reference it. One of the most important attributes you have to learn as a developer is that you don't have to cram code. You only need to understand the syntax and how to do it. Then you follow up and you try by defining or designing what others has done before. And as you are going along it, as you are doing it, you are understanding the concept better, so that you can actually be able to create your own designs. So I'll end this class here. If you have any question, you can use the comment section. Thank you very much. See you next.